page 280. You see that shed drawing, make you copy a diagram here. Okay, 5. At what angle of elevation is the longer section of the shed roof installed? So there's a short side, a long side. Angle of elevation is right here. I think that I will use this space right here, okay, to talk about angle of elevation and depression. So if you consider a horizontal line, right, so imagine there's a person and going straight out from the eyes, right, it would be a straight horizontal line. If this person spots an object up here, so let's say a bird, right, you're from the horizontal, you're going up, right? So this is angle of elevation. Okay, that's your angle of elevation. And if this person were to spot something down here, so let's say a spider or something, right? That angle formed between the horizontal and the line of sight to that object on the ground, in this case, that would be called the angle of depression. So the angle of elevation or depression is always based on a horizontal line. Okay, so they do this textbook and various questions, they will mention that. And so don't fear it. It's just, sorry, here it is, angle of elevation, right? It's between the horizontal and the line going up, right? So this is the angle that they're asking for. And we are also told, like at first glance, right, this triangle has only two sides. There's nothing else given, but you do have the width of that shed, which is 12.6 feet, right, from end to end. So this is actually a side scenario. You know you have to use the cosine law in this case. Cosine law, sorry, not ln. Cosine law to solve this particular case. Okay, and they're specific, they're asking for this angle right here. So we have to use the formula. It's a little tight here, but we'll make it work. Cosine of B, right, is going to be whatever you do, you make sure that the side across the angle you want is across like this. And then you take the other two sides, just make sure they're always squared like that, and you add them up. And in the denominator, you have 2 times 9.2 times 12.6, like that. And now this is where your calculator comes in handy, right? You'll figure out the top. And that's 219.39 over 2 times 9.2 times 12.6. That's 231.84. I will find out what that is and have at least 4 decimals here. 419.39 divided by 231.84. 9463 if I round that to, right? And this is this is where I would like to give you a word of caution. I think a lot of you at this point, you're like, yeah, I got it, you know, I know how to do it, but in not actually doing these questions, you forget how to type things in and just those little things, and that will cost you later on. So don't stop working out these questions, okay? So we take the inverse of that and make sure I'm in degrees, okay? Always check. So it's 18.86 degrees. And that's it. And now I'm going to ask you to write down a similar question. I'm just going to call this 5b and try to copy my diagram. So I'm going to create a shed as well, but in this case, there's going to be a bit of an overhang. Like this. This is 3 feet, this is 2 feet, this is 20 feet. We can make a dashed line all across here. Right, so the roof is hanging over the actual structure on either side. And I know it's hard to see, okay, so this is 3 feet on the left here and it's 2 feet on the right. This angle here is 39 degrees. This is 16 feet. And the question would like to know what that side right there is. So try to copy that. As best you can. Did anybody join after I took attendance? If so, please let me know. Just type it in the chat and I can mark you late. It's better than, okay. Can you see this in class? Can you see the diagram? See the values? Yeah. Okay, so this is another extension of what you see up here. And you have to be very careful here. And I will redraw this. I encourage you to do that as well if you. So this triangle has 39 degrees right here at this opening, 16 feet here. They want to know what that is. And this side down here, we know is 3 plus 20 plus 2, right? So it's essentially 25 from end to end. So that was the extra trick here, right? You having to know, and this will come in various ways where you have to figure out like what the total length is of this base triangle. And in this case, you have a side angle side situation, SAS, right? You don't have a pair. This is SAS. You have to use cosine law still, okay? And in this case, and you got to make sure you have these formulas, right? If you want to know that side, in this case we call it x, right? You square it. You take the other two sides and you square them. And then you go minus 2 times 16 times 25 times cosine of 39. Like that, right? So the other two sides squared and added minus 2 times both sides times cosine of 39. So it's all multiplying. The next line would be square root of whatever you get here. And I'm going to show you how I type that in. And I do that exactly the way it's there. My calculator allows me to do that. So that's 259.2832308. I'm just going to use all of it. take the square root of that, and that's 16.10, and that is in feet. It's not much longer, but it is longer. So I don't know if you want to break this down, draw a line so that you know it doesn't mix up with the top example there. I'll do 6, and then I will go back to sine law and do a few questions regarding sine law, and then you'll have some time to work on your own. Okay, so question 6. Okay, so we have 3 pieces of wood that are to be used to frame a flower garden. The 3 pieces are 10.2 feet, 7.5, 8.4 feet, right? So 3 pieces, obviously that's going to form a triangle. It says draw, and you need to be able to do this, right? Draw and label a diagram showing the triangular garden frame. So we have one longer side, right? And then they get shorter. So I would just say, just draw one like this, almost like the roof up there. I'm not picky with it being drawn to scale. And I'm a big fan of labeling using letters. If you don't, right? If they didn't give you letters, just use ABC. Right? Put ABC down. And we'll make this 10.2 feet. We'll make another one 8.4 feet. And the last one is 7.5 feet. That's all. That's all you need to do there. And now it's asking in B, but we will start working here, otherwise we'll run out of room, right? What will be the measures of the angles and at the corners of the garden frame? So they want all angles, right? All angles. They want all angles, right? And if they don't specify which one, what did I tell you? Start with the largest one, right? The reason I'm telling you this is that there could be a problem if you don't. And this course is not, I'm not going to go into that, why, but if they're not specifying, start with the largest angle, which is this, right? Start with largest angle across 10.2 feet, right? That's going to be the largest angle, the one that's across the 10.2, the longest side. That's the biggest angle right there. Okay. And let's start. So we have, right, this is an SSS situation. We know we're going to have to use cosine law. You cannot use sine law here. So we're going to use that one. So we're going to go cosine of B. Whatever you do, you go minus 10.2 squared at the end of the numerator here. And then you're going to take the other two sides, add them to that. Down in the denominator is 2 times 8.4 times 7.5. So you would get a mark right there, folks. You get down the road, you get 1 mark for deciding that it's cosine law. Just because of that, you already get 1 mark. Then you would get another mark for setting it up and doing the work. Okay? and another mark for the final correct answer. So 3 to 4 marks in one of these, right? So figure out what the top is. And let's 22.77 for the numerator, 126 for the denominator. And that, if you divide these two, you have to divide them. That is 0.1807. Right? This fraction turns out to be that as a decimal. So B, angle B is going to be cosine of 0.1807. And I'll write it one more time. 79.59. Remember that you could have a negative, right, with cosine. If the top is a negative, you end up with an obtuse angle guaranteed. Okay? So watch out for that. Let's do the other two. Now it doesn't matter. I will do this because I think it's time to start showing how you can switch over to sine law. You have a pair now, right? You have a pair now, right? You can use sine law if you want. I would write this down because a lot of students forget that down the road, right? What's your pair? You have sine of 79.59 over 10.2, right? This is a pair. So sine of 79.59 over the side that's across from it is equal to, which one do you want to find? If you want to find A, that's fine. You got to use sine of A over the side that's across from it, which is 7.5. So it's a good time to review sine law as well, right? The nice thing about sine law, it's always the same. It's always the setup is the same, except for you could be asked to solve for a side length or an angle. In this case, it's an angle, right? So you cross multiply and divide. Sine of A, keep sine glued to A, okay, until the end. And some of you will have used the cosine law for this, right? If you already ventured and decided you were going to do this on your own, that's very fine with me. Don't let me stop you if you want to go for it, right? And here's what you get when you type all of this in. 7232, right? 7232, because the 1 gets bumped up. And last step, whenever you're trying to find an angle, you have to use the inverse of that decimal. That's a must. And the more steps you show, the better. 46.32. Right? The 8 bumps the 1. 46.32. So you have A and B. It's easy to find C now. Angle C is just going to be 180 because a triangle always adds up to 180. The interior angles do. So we're going to take away angle A and we're going to take away angle B from it. So 180 minus 79.59 minus 46.32. That's 5409. So all three angles have been found. Griffin, okay. We're on page 280, Griffin. Yeah. Yeah, Ona. I will do that yet. Mm-hmm. So there is your completed, fully solved triangle at that point. Okay, so what I'm going to ask you to do now is to work on, and I'll just give you page numbers, okay? Page 282 to 283. That's cosine law. And some of the word problems you have to really look at carefully. And then the next pages I have them written down, 271 to 274. This is sine law. I skipped this part earlier because I wanted to use it now. So if you're, I would say continue with cosine law, finish. There's only 3 questions really between these two pages, and then you move over to sine law, so you remember how to do that. Because starting now, we're gonna mix them up. Okay. After today, I'm gonna expect you to look at a triangle and determine which one you're gonna have to use. Okay. That's why I want you to see them both and try them both. Okay. Okay, so go for it. I'll give you some class time to do that, and then we'll go over them towards the end. Okay, so let's say we'll come back at around 10ish, 9:32, so I'll start correcting at around 10.